Nobody called them poor man meals at the time. They were just dinner, the only dinner, and your grandmother made them without complaint and set the table like it mattered. Across Canada in the 1930s and 1940s, families survived on flour, lard, potatoes, dried beans, oats, and whatever a root cellar or backyard garden could offer. Meat was a luxury. What kept people alive wasn't a recipe. It was the refusal to waste anything and the skill to turn almost nothing into something hot. These are 10 meals that filled Canadian tables when money had completely run out. 1. Fried potato and onion hash, 2 potatoes, 1 onion, a spoonful of lard, and 20 minutes on a wood stove. That was dinner, and it appeared on the table 3 or 4 nights a week throughout the worst years of the Depression. The potatoes, sliced thin, dropped into a heavy pan with smoking fat. Onions went in rough cut, softening and sweetening against the heat. Salt, pepper if the tin wasn't empty. The whole thing stayed on until the potato edges turned gold and the onion went almost caramelized, served straight from the pan. Across the prairies and in working-class neighborhoods from Winnipeg to Halifax, this hash was the meal you made when there was nothing else. Because potatoes were nearly always available and nearly always affordable. 2. Bone broth soup. Every Sunday roast produced a leftover bone, and in a 1930s Canadian kitchen, that bone was the beginning of the next 3 meals. The carcass went into a pot of cold water and simmered for hours, drawing out every trace of collagen and flavor left in the joints. What came out was a broth with real body, cloudy, golden, and savory. Carrots, turnips, parsnips from the root cellar went in next. Barley or dried beans stretched it further across 2 more nights. Canadian families recycled their Sunday roast into sandwiches first, soup second. The bone was the last thing standing, and it still had work left to do. 3. Bread and dripping. Before butter, there was dripping. The rendered fat and meat juices saved from any roasting, kept in a ceramic pot beside the stove. Spread directly onto bread, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, always thick, with a sprinkle of salt on top. British and Eastern European immigrant families across Ontario, Manitoba, and Alberta brought this tradition with them, and the Depression made it universal. Children carried dripping sandwiches to school, wrapped in newspaper. Farm workers ate them at the edge of fields. In the years when butter cost money the household did not have, dripping was what stood in for it, and nobody apologized, because there was nothing to apologize for. 4. Cabbage soup. A single head of cabbage cost almost nothing, lasted days without spoiling, and could be made into a soup that fed an entire family from one pot. The cabbage went in rough chopped with a diced onion, a scoop of lard, and water. A ham bone added smoke and depth when one was available. The soup simmered until the cabbage went tender and slightly sweet, the broth turning mild and opaque, bread torn alongside for dipping. Prairie families who grew their own stored heads in root cellars through autumn and winter, which meant cabbage soup was available exactly when everything else had run out. It was plain and hot. That was all it needed to be. 5. Oatmeal pancakes. When eggs were too expensive and butter was running low, Canadian grandmothers made pancakes from rolled oats, and they turned out better than anyone expected. Oats soaked overnight, softened enough to mix with flour, salt, and a spoonful of lard into a pourable batter. The cakes fried golden and slightly nutty, crisp outside, dense and chewy within. A drizzle of molasses or a spoonful of homemade jam went over top. The Winnipeg Tribune and other Depression-era Canadian newspapers ran oat-based recipes specifically because oats were among the cheapest grains available. A family could eat breakfast for a week from a single bag that cost pennies. These pancakes were the week's highlight, something that tasted like an occasion, even when it wasn't. 6. Tomato macaroni, elbow macaroni, stirred into stewed tomatoes with salt and a knob of butter. That is the entire recipe, and it fed Canadian families through some of the hardest evenings of the 20th century. The pasta cooked soft, drained, and tipped into a pan where canned or garden tomatoes had been simmering with onion. The tomatoes broke down into a thin, bright sauce that soaked into the macaroni as everything cooked together. Warm, slightly acidic, and filling. Canadian families with kitchen gardens canned tomatoes every August, specifically to have this dish through winter. A can of tomatoes and a bag of elbows cost 15 cents together in the 1940s. For a family of 5, that was a full dinner, and sometimes the only one available. 7. Fried cornmeal cakes. Cornmeal cooked thick the night before, poured into a pan, set overnight, then sliced and fried in lard until golden. One pot of cornmeal produced 2 separate meals over 2 days, and that equation was everything. The cakes came out crisp at the edges, warm and soft within. A drizzle of molasses or the last of the honey tin made them feel like a treat. This technique appeared in Depression-era Canadian cookbooks and newspapers repeatedly because it solved 2 problems at once. A cheap supper became a free breakfast. On the prairies, cornmeal moved through kitchens in an unbroken chain, not because anyone chose it enthusiastically, but because it worked every time through winters that showed no interest in ending. 8. Potato peel soup. Most people today throw away potato skins. In a 1930s Canadian kitchen, those skins were saved in a bowl on the counter because they were tomorrow's soup. Peels went into cold water with a chopped onion, scraps of lard, salt, and whatever vegetable trimmings the week had produced. Carrot tops, celery leaves, the heel of a turnip. The pot simmered until the broth turned pale gold. A splash of canned milk rounded the flavor at the end. It was thin soup. Nobody pretended otherwise. But it was hot, and it was made from things that would otherwise have been discarded. In a decade when the Edmonton government relief diet allocated food by the ounce, throwing away a potato peel was simply not something Canadian families did. 9. Red River cereal with molasses. In 1929, a Winnipeg woman named Isabel McInnes patented a hot cereal made from cracked wheat, rye, and flaxseed, and by 1932, it had become one of the most important breakfast foods on the Canadian prairies. Red River cereal was cheap, filling, and more nutritious than plain oatmeal. The cracked grains simmered into a rough, earthy porridge with a faint nuttiness from the flax. Molasses, darker and cheaper than refined sugar, went over the top. Families in Manitoba and Saskatchewan ate this before heading into cold that stayed below freezing for months. It cost almost nothing per serving and kept you warm until noon. In the worst years of the dirty 30s, that was a meal that earned its place on the table. 10. Pouting chômeur, unemployed man's pudding. We end with a dessert invented specifically because people were poor, and it became one of the most beloved foods in Canadian history. Pouting chômeur, unemployed man's pudding in French, was created in Quebec during the early years of the Depression by female factory workers feeding families on almost nothing. Stale bread soaked in brown sugar sauce, baked until a caramelized crust formed on top. No eggs, minimal butter. The result was warm, sticky, and tasted far richer than its ingredients had any right to produce. Quebec families made it ever since, brown sugar, cream, replacing water. But the name never changed. It was still the unemployed man's pudding, a reminder of where it came from and the people who first made it out of necessity and quiet, undefeated dignity. These 10 meals were not just survival food. They were what love looked like when money had gone. A table set, a pot kept warm, a family fed one more night.